So everyone, welcome to our presentation today on the AP levels of our story. So we have these available in both Spanish and French, and Erin and I are going to just walk you through what's inside and how you can use it to prepare your students for the AP tests. So we're just going to do a quick overview, talk about the different tasks available. We've got some practice tests and then some question time at the end. And again, here we have Nuestra Historia, AP, and Notre Histoire, AP. So it's a continuation of the Our Story series for AP students. Within each title, you're going to find 6 units that focuses on one of the AP themes that includes as well 6 sub-themes for each of those themes. And we do start off with a story at the beginning of each unit as well. And Erin, just jump in at any point when you have something additional to say.
I kind of forget what the next slide is, so I don't, but I will say, I think we talk about the stories next.
Yeah.
Because I will say that the stories are just like a wonderful introduction for students to that theme. There are beautiful stories written by Brian Candle. There's activities for them to do with the stories, and it's like kind of like sets the stage for everything that they're going to learn in that unit. I also just mentioned that many of the tasks within the like levels 1 through 4 of Notre Histoire and Nuestra Historia are designed to prepare students for the more challenging tasks on the AP exam. So if they do start with Nuestra Historia 1 and continue on to the AP, they will have really built a lot of proficiency and just experience doing those kind of tasks. And so this is going to just come all the more easier for them. So.
Great. Yeah, so here's an example of one of the stories. I believe they all also come with native speaker narration, illustrations, just as you've seen in the first 4 levels of the Our Story series. Yeah, and also the personal questions at the beginning of the stories, another great way to use those circling skills that you used while teaching in the previous levels of our story. So just an example down here of what you might find in the personal question section. So that's a great way to set the stage for a unit. And then in each, so these 2 are examples of the sub-themes in a unit. Each sub-theme will have 2 tasks, always an interpretive, and then either a interpersonal or presentational task. And in this case, we have interpretive reading. There's also interpretive listening. And I kind of did a breakdown of what you'll find here. So you'll start with essential questions to introduce the topic of the reading or listening task. Pre-reading questions. And then you'll also have an introduction of the key vocabulary. You'll have the task itself, and then you will have a post-reading task. So one thing to note is that each of these pages, it's very clear in these tasks what is, this is what is preparing you for the AP test and what will actually appear on the AP test. So not all of these, it's not going to introduce the key vocabulary on the AP test, but this is something that we're providing to students to get to scaffold a little bit before doing the test. And it's very clear what you'll be able to do and what is helpful in the unit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that. Those like the actual AP tasks, and in some cases in Spanish, they're actually teacher only with that little red apple, so that they're like, so that if you wanted to assign them like kind of seriously, like they would experience on the AP exam, you could. And all of those other activities are just preparing them and deepening their cultural understanding of these topics and themes and everything. And I also want to just give a shout out really to the amazing like A team, I always said, who did the development of the Spanish AP textbook. Um, and it was Kara Jacobs who did these interpretive sections, and she just is so good at comprehensifying and scaffolding students to be able to handle the more complex, authentic materials. So that's like her skill is very much there, and it's also in the French because we then mirrored the Spanish and the French in that sense. But so Kara Jacobs did it. Brian Candle wrote the stories and did the cultural comparisons. Gary DeBianca did the argumentative essay sections. And then Allison Clancy did additional sections that I can't remember exactly, but all of them had either experience teaching AP, of course, like all of them had that. And then many of them, at least 3 out of the 4, had experience grading the AP exam. So they really like thought about their experience, on that end of it and tried to build, a curriculum that really scaffolded and like kind of supported the students to get to that point to be able to really achieve a high score on the AP exam.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention that I neglected to take a screenshot, but the interpretive reading listening tasks are just, again, full of rich, authentic materials that you have seen in previous Our Story titles. There's no picture. We can jump over and look at one if we've got a little bit of time. But just moving on, so that was the interpersonal tasks, or no, that was the interpretive tasks. These are the interpersonal. So you're going to see both conversation and email tasks that students are going to see on the AP exam. I have a few more screenshots of these tips on a different slide, but it's really giving students the power to confidently complete these tasks with these, there's tips for recording, strategies for how would you, what are the typical ways to start an email, end an email, just giving students the tools that they need to accurately and confidently complete the tasks. So you'll see it's the first page on any of these will just be an introduction to the task with a little bit of help for the students. And then this second part with the apple, like Erin said, that could be something you assign to students. Just do this page if you don't want them to have like the extra scaffolding, like as a practice test, you could do that. And yeah, here's an example of what the email task looks like. So students will see an email that they need to respond to and fill it out below. And this is what the conversation task will look like. They'll hear the native speaker audio and then respond appropriately.
And one thing to keep in mind is you can assign any of these tasks, of course, and like put restrictions on them. But with this, like specifically for the conversation, you can make it so that the audio automatically plays when the student goes to the page. And then when the audio finishes, the recording automatically starts. And that's very similar to their experience on the AP exam. And you can also put a timer on the entire activity. So you can really, like it just helps to prepare them for that very challenging and kind of intimidating task. And the more they do it ahead of time, in fact, I remember hearing from a teacher who said this just increased her student scores on this task specifically just for that practice. And like by the time they did it on the AP exam, it was no big deal anymore.
Yeah, they've done it many times. There's so much practice available in this title. I feel that students will definitely be prepared for the tasks at the end. Yeah, and then moving on to the presentational tasks. So this is going to include the cultural comparison and also the argumentative essay sections from the AP exam. And especially with the argumentative essay section here, there is so much, instructions and help for students, maybe even in their regular language arts class or something, they're not 100% confident on writing argumentative essays, what the steps are. So in each task throughout the units, we're giving students even more help and guidance on what it means to write this kind of essay and how to do it in the target language. Yeah, there's so much here: tutorials, word banks, graphic organizers. There's a lot to look at, and guidance for students. And Erin, would you like to talk about this slide
Sure.
since you made it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, Keely, if we have time, I will definitely show you in this session how to do that assignment, recording automatically and stuff like that. Um, sorry. So the presentational tasks, the cultural comparison, I mean, okay, so one awesome thing, again, we had the A team. So like they were just like, they had so many great ideas on ways to support students, like not only with knowing what the AP exam was about, but really deepening their knowledge of these different countries and cultures so that whatever the AP exam threw at them, they had some background knowledge. So with the cultural comparison, we include useful vocabulary targeted to this task. We offer a strategy to help them complete this portion. So like each unit focuses on a different strategy. And then there are authentic cultural resources pertaining to the prompt. And like everything, again, was like created from this like database of knowledge of the AP exam and like the types of questions and the types of prompts, etc. So yeah, it just deepens the student's experience. Can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
Because I think okay. And then the argumentative essay, this again was done by Gary DeBianca, and he just did like an amazing job giving these like almost like tutorials. So in the first 3 units, like he starts with a tutorial on the introduction paragraph and just breaks it down into like, that first sentence and second sentence and conclusion sentence for the introductory paragraph. And then he talks about the body paragraphs and then the conclusion. And so it's just like really broken down and specified. He gives like vocabulary lists as well, like helpful vocabulary for writing those. And then in the second half of the curriculum, like units 4 through 6, he talks about the scoring and like the nature of the scores of the AP exam and like kind of like giving the students tips into like how to get a better score. He talks about essay development and sources and then language use and accuracy. So it's just such a complete guide. And really, I mean, this is a very challenging task. It's a challenging task in someone's like first language. Um, and it's a very difficult task, I think, for our students, but the support there is just remarkable. And yeah, Martha, like, I mean, seriously, it's anything that students learn with the argumentative essay, they can absolutely apply to their ELA classes. And then the next slide. Okay, so do you want, yeah, you can talk about it.
Yeah, and then just to finish off the units, we do have 2 practice tests in each one. I believe the first practice test is placed at the end of Unit 3, and then the second one is placed at the end of Unit 6. So you can, measure their skills halfway through using the curriculum, and then again at the very end to see if they, how they progress in
Or
their
right
AP
before the
test.
AP exam.
Right.
Yeah.
You could do them one after the other if you really wanted to.
They're very like they're complete and they are very I mean, they're just pretty massive.
Yes. So basically, they're split into 2 sections, one with the multiple choice questions for that interpretive reading section, and then another section for those interpersonal and presentational skills. And then I have a couple examples of the types of support you'll see throughout the unit. Reminding students they only have 1 minute to speak. Imagine like reading this before you start your speaking test. Like it's very, I'm intimidated and I'm not even taking a test. But I'm also mentally prepared. It's just getting them in the right mindset. And some of the tips for writing the argumentative essays. Tips for writing the email response, things to do and consider when you're taking the culture part. So there's just so much in here that students will find useful in preparing for the test. Oh yeah, that's it. I wanted to get right to the point and make sure we had time to answer any questions, or maybe we can go and take a look at that recording
Yeah. I just
thing.
asked Simone if she can make me co-host because I can't share my screen right
Oh,
now.
you can tell me what to do.
Okay.
I've got it open.
Okay. So let's see if, I mean, I haven't done it in a minute, so it might take me a minute, especially if I'm telling you what to do. But yeah, you go to the activity. Um, so this is what it looks like for the students. Very similar again to the AP exam and just the format and everything. Chris really worked um with us to like mimic the look of the AP exam. So go to assignments and then click on, yeah, new assignment, current page. Oh, you don't have any classes.
I have no classes. Doesn't matter. No folders.
Okay. So you could do a due date, but we're okay. So yeah, here, so what you would want to do is I would apply a recording limit. So they just get one shot and can't re-record. So single record. Yep.
Hmm.
And then automated recording. Um, and so as it says, and I'm just kind of like making sure, but it says that, you know, and I've done this before as a student, like you go in there and the minute, and like you have to click play, but once you click play on that first one, it will just like go through to the end, right when the play, like the audio stops, the record, actually the records like takes like 3 seconds or something. And then the recording starts, and then when they have to stop recording, and when they stop recording, it triggers the next audio to play. So they
Hmm.
kind of control it, but very limited. And the recording, you'll know if they're like letting the recording go forever. um so that's going to give them like that automated experience, and then apply recording timer. Oh yeah, that is
Yeah,
the
you would want
solution
to
to
click
what
on
I was
that.
just saying. um so yeah, like you would just determine, how long do you want that recording to continue until they can stop it, or until it stops. And then you could put a timer on the page. The timer will be like on the page on the activity itself. So like um you could, say like you have to complete this activity in 5 minutes, and that's kind of short, but maybe a little bit more. So you can really customize it. And Martha was asking about like no, I just, oh, the recording tool and like having some issues with it.
Mhm.
If you ever do have issues, please just call us, because oftentimes it's just a matter of like either the assignment being a little bit like different or something, and we just have to adjust it, and we'll show you what we did, and then you won't do it in the future. Or the device just needs to be like, something needs to happen on the device. Anytime a student goes to like one of those recording pages, they do get that automatic pop-up that says like, will you share this, or like, what does it say, Hannah? Like, you have to like allow your device to like
Oh, yeah,
allow the
down
recording,
here.
whatever.
Yeah, I need to go to
Yeah.
account and then settings.
Well, but even once that, anyways, students sometimes say no to that, and it just
Mm.
makes it so that they can't record. So, because they're not reading it. So anyways, if you ever have any problems, just let us know. If you call in the moment, we will help you like on the spot really quick, and then it will be working. Because it's a very awesome tool once you've, kind of get used to it, and once your students get used to it.
Oops, I
Any
just did that.
questions? I keep thinking like, oh yeah, we only have 30 minutes.
Oh, you need to log out and back in again to see it.
Sorry, I like closed my chat. I just realized.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yep, I
Keely, if
just
you
allowed
ever,
it.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just
Oh,
saying now
cool.
it's gone, and now students are able to actually complete
Yeah.
my assignment that I assigned to no one, I think. I was gonna see if I could do it, but I don't know. Yeah, questions.
But Keely, if you ever have any questions, like specific, like in the moment, again, you can just email us, and I'll look for, like if I don't know the answer, I can always reach out to other AP teachers and see what they're doing. Oh, Martha, it is the same. We did work on some updates to the LMS, and that was going to address those steps that students have to take. But um, they have to be held up for next summer. So one more year of those steps when the students log in to their LMS, and then it won't be the situation anymore.
Um, I'm wondering if anyone watching, listening today has had any experience using the AP titles in their classroom, and maybe if you have any advice you want to share, or maybe everyone's brand new. That's fine too.
Yeah, I think Keely was saying that she uses it.
Okay, right.
Well, hi. I used it just for during our free sample time. I
Oh, okay.
used one unit, and I have used VHL Tamas for the last 2 years, and the kids loved the Voces version so much more. They said it just seems so much more simpler,
Oh,
but
that's awesome.
their work coming through at the end, now this was at the end of the year too, but the work that they submitted was so much better. Like their conversation was so much better than what they had given me during the whole year using Tamas. But they all were agreeing that this was too easy on here. So I think it's just the scaffolding that was given and the way it was presented, honestly.
Yeah. No, that's really awesome to hear. And I do think like that A team, like it was magical. And they all brought these like, it's just so much experience and insight to the table. And I mean, I could just see like how, yeah, the scaffolding, like the preparation before and the reflections after and everything. I mean, it's going to really, it just strengthens the students that come out of that experience. And when they go to the AP exam, you can see the difference. So that's really good to hear. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and
if
the
any,
rubrics, sorry, the rubrics were my favorite, just the way that they worked. And for me, grading, it made a huge difference because I would read through the AP rubrics and the VHL rubrics and go, I don't know. But the rubrics on here were just amazing because I thought they were just very detailed. And then it also did the math for me, which is another great plus.
yeah, that is awesome. And I love the rubrics too. Gary did those. And I mean, they all collaborated on it, but Gary led on that. And I remember he was like very passionate about it. Like he had a mission with those rubrics to make them like, I think more student friendly in a sense. And then, like relate to the actual grading of the AP exam. So I'm glad that you enjoyed them. That's really good to hear. It's one of these titles, to be honest, I mentioned this last session, but I kind of like hadn't looked in them for a while because we just have so much other stuff going on. And when Hannah and I were putting together the presentation, I was like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. Like I forgot. Oh, and one more thing. The appendix is so full of wonderful material in the AP exam or in the AP text. Um, yeah. And one of the coolest things are the oofs by Rebecca Way. She like did these for us. I forget like how I think she reached out to us and said like, I do these. Do you want me to do it for you? And so like they're like targeting kind of misuse, like words that students often get wrong. And then she has these little activities that just kind of like work through it. And she said that she would like open up her classes with these activities. And it's just like building that, fluency really, or like deepening the fluency in our students. So yeah, these are really cool. I kind of forgot about those too. And then we
I
have all the interviews. Yep.
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say I didn't even look before preparing the slideshows. This is really amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely
And we
look
put
through
some
here.
grammar. Yeah. And like the interviews and just all this other cool stuff. So um it is the oofs are only in the AP title, Martha. But you could always, have your students go into it or move that section into the other titles. And to be clear, if you don't have an active trial and you want a new one, please just let me know. I will absolutely hook you up with like a new trial. Like we want anyone at this workshop to have access to what we're talking about. And if you don't have like this title or whatever titles in your account right now, you should be able to add any of the titles by going to the account and then settings and adding any of the titles to your account. Karina, you can't move assignments from one title to another, but you can, like you would either copy a class from one title to another so that they have to like log into that other title to get your assignment there, or perhaps easier on them would be that you move whatever material you want to assign in that second title to your main title and then assign it from there. So, and the steps involved are like a little bit to get used to. So if you get to that point and you need help, we can help you. I don't think we have time right now to show.
Oh yeah, we
I was
have
thinking,
gone over time a little bit.
Uh-oh.
so I can just like schedule an appointment for someone to show me how to do that.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And
Because-
on our, yeah.
I was gonna use it for like scaffolding, like if they haven't had a lot of CI and they're trying. So I was thinking of like moving stuff over. Okay.
Yeah, no, totally. Any like that goes to everyone. Sign up for a walkthrough. Like it doesn't matter if you've done a walkthrough before. You can always sign up for one. And if in the form, it will ask you what you want to talk about. And if you just put like a little note about it, then it will help us target that. You know, that way we are entering that meeting, like showing you exactly whatever you need to be shown, and you'll get that information, and it's like great. So definitely take advantage of walkthroughs and calling us and emailing us. We love it. So next is